Hey, and welcome to this week's Inbound Debate. As always, I'm joined by the very beautiful Nick Pateman and the handsome Dan Holt. And of course, I'm James McFarlane, and this week we're going to be talking about the update that happened on yesterday, on Wednesday. I think this video is posted on Friday, so it'll be 2 days ago. Known as kind of the Payday loan update. Matt Cutts had announced previously that they were going to focus on incredibly spammy markets. We're talking about payday loans, gambling, binary options, things like that, where the results are just horrible, or they were horrible before this update. And I want to talk about this week, this update, what changes has it made, how have they implemented it. So I'm going to start off, guys, with asking Dan, how do we think this update was implemented and made? Because it's clearly kind of different to Penguin and Panda because it's targeting specific industries.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think that's what everyone was waiting to find out. So they're almost slightly kind of anomalous industries, and that they're characterised by being just full of black hat spammers. It seems in the forums people are talking about perhaps it was actually done in a manual way, that the results have actually been hand-picked. But then I've also seen talk about it being rolled out over the next 1 to 2 months, which seems odd. I mean, if you were just going to hand-pick the front page, how's it going to take 2 months? But maybe they mean they're just going to give it a go, then maybe analyse how people behave, the click-through rates, the engagement statistics, and then make adjustments from there. But obviously it's very early to say.
Nick?
I think that it's a mix. I think it's a mix anyway, because when I was looking at the results, instantly, an article that hadn't been seen before from the Telegraph, which was actually posted 2 days ago from today, and that was talking about the risks of payday loans, and that was number 1 on payday loan, and it was like number 3 on payday loans. Now that's like, Google doesn't really incorporate that sort of information into a search query like that. You wouldn't imagine like the risks of payday loans being algorithmically found and placed there. So I think Google may have said like payday loans, they cause a lot of trouble for a lot of people. It's an immoral, for the most part, market. And so having a result like the risk of payday loans number 1, I think they manually chose that.
Yeah, but I mean, from what I've seen, it's manual, okay? From what I've read anyway, right? So we don't know for sure. It could be an algorithmic update, but it seems that the consensus at the moment between the community is it's manual.
Can I just because I think there's a really good chance that there's some kind of automated thing, because there are results in there that that are completely irrelevant,
Yeah.
ranking 8th and 10th.
But I mean, if they've taken an ethical stance on this, right? If, like you said, like it's a spammy market, takes advantage of everyone, then why are they still accepting advertisement? Like the companies that have been knocked down are now having to pay £10, £15 a click on AdWords, and most of the clicks will go through there. And what annoys me about this, right, is I agree those results had to be cleared up. But any result which doesn't have Wonga ranking in the top 5, right? If you're searching payday loans, let's face it, love or hate the company, they're probably the top payday loan company in the UK for us. And if that's not ranking in the top 5, there's something wrong with that algorithm.
I've always wondered that, and the thing is, you shouldn't be fooled by Wonga's like friendly disguise. It is still the same market. It does the same thing. It disguises API.
Okay,
like Google aren't there as kind of like the kind of moral police, are they? They're there to deliver brands, to deliver like relevant, authoritative results.
Yeah, which is why the whole thing's a complete weird mess, because there's results in there that have nothing, like literally nothing to do. There's one like the Bonsai Tree Society in America, like that has not anything to do with payday loans. I think we can agree there.
I think they're struggling, and I mean, okay, so if we feel that there's some sort of manual element to this, okay. Do we think this is like a good or a bad thing? I mean, I kind of agree with you that there's probably some algorithmic, because if it was manual, they wouldn't have the most ridiculous results showing. But people are saying there's some sort of manual element. Is that a good or a bad thing by Google?
Shall I start?
Yeah, Nick.
I think it's a pretty good thing in the sense that they've cleared up the really, really spammy sites. Like there's no more, doesn't appear to be more hacking and other things. They've introduced this risk of payday loans article, which actually was archived and no longer available. But they've clearly done things which are good, and they've got rid of, for the most part, the really nasty kind of underhand stuff. But you know, is it actually a good thing? Manual updates are not like a long term. They're not like scalable. Google can't just manually rank every single thing on every single page in its index. So it's not.
But I think what's important to recognise about these is that they don't need to do it for like it doesn't necessarily need to be scalable. We're talking about a very relatively small number of specific markets. They're almost anomalies. They just don't work. I mean, because I think as much as anything else, it reflects the enormous progress that they've made in the vast majority of other markets through Panda and Penguin in the last 2 years. And then that you see this contrast between most markets and these horrible, relatively small number of spammy markets. And I think actually, if they're almost kind of, it's sort of an admission of defeat. They're saying, you know what, our algorithm isn't going to cut it. But ultimately, if doing it in a very targeted, very focused way, a manual way, is going to make it better in the short term.
We need to think about manual though, because manual, right? We're looking at just one search query at the moment: payday loans or payday loan. There's actually like a billion other possibilities, so they can't manually handpick every payday loan market search. So
but they might be able to do it for, say, what would it contribute, say, like top 95% of traffic or something like that.
That's still huge.
I mean, I do think it's a bad thing. I think it's Google kind of admitting that they can't handle this with their algorithm if it is a manual element. And the problem with that is, if there's a lot of bad sites ranking, there's probably within the algorithm there's good sites which they can't rank in other markets. So like, while it's good for the user that they're clearing up these results, I think for the webmaster it's slightly worrying, because you're putting your business in the hands of an algorithm which they're essentially admitting is not perfect. It's
never been perfect, and I don't think
this is a real sensitive.
Yeah, but this is like they've always said, you know, we always reward good quality content. We always do this. We always do that. This Matt Cutts, who's like, you know, their spin guy essentially, but it's like they're admitting that they can't fix this.
They're admitting that you need to use AdWords in order to rank. I think that's probably that.
Yeah, I mean
they just paid advertising.
So the last question, guys, I've got for you is, because we've kind of called it the payday loan update or whatever, but it hasn't actually been given a name yet. So what do we think this update's going to be called or nicknamed? Nick,
I actually don't have a clue. I think I don't think it's going to be rolled out in the future. I don't think this is an update that's going to kind of have reiterations necessarily. Like, it might do automated, like if it was an automated one, but if it was manual, I think this is just going to be called like the payday loan update, and that's just going to be put to the side, and it's not going to happen.
Dan, what do you think?
Well, I think given the manual sort of element of it, I think you'd have to call it the human update.
And I think they will update it, because they can't just freeze results in time, right? Yeah. So they have to even if it's just a manual, they'll have to manually update every like 3 months or something. I think it's just going to be called like the payday loan update, because that's what, like Cutts said, that's the industry we're going after. I know there's a lot of other industries, but payday loan was like the epitome of spam, like the epitome of an industry they wanted to clean up. Yeah. So yeah, payday loan, the payday loan update. Well, thank you very much for joining me, guys. I don't know about you, but I found this subject really, really interesting, because it's quite a unique update. And of course, please tweet at us, tweet at Inbound Dan, at Inbound Nick, and please hashtag Inbound Debate to get involved, to tell us exactly, you know, what you think about this update. And of course, we'll see you next week. Cheers. Bye.